We often talk about how rubbish the ANC is on this channel, but you know who is even worse? Corporate South Africa.
Yeah, so this is the news that corporate South Africa actually wants to ban diesel and petrol cars by 2035. If you actually look at the news, it's unsurprising as countries like the United Kingdom are also moving to ban petrol and diesel cars by 2030. This all seems to be part of the new green agenda to decarbonize the world and get us to net zero.
That's right, but unfortunately, South Africa has reached net zero. It's called load shedding. We don't have carbon emissions in this country because we don't have electricity. And the thing you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that this banning of diesel cars and petrol cars by a certain year is fueled by corporate South Africa. The government doesn't want this. The political parties don't want this, except maybe the DA, who knows. But for now, this is being funneled and fueled by corporate South Africa. And then we have to think to ourselves, why are these people the enemy of South Africa?
So you may be looking at us going, oh, you guys are being hyperbolic. Corporate South Africa does not want that. Well, actually, they do. And the reason they want it is because whilst the sale of diesel and petrol cars will cease to exist, well, they get to sell us some new stuff. The new stuff comes in the forms of electric vehicles. What it will mean is that everybody who wants to buy a new car will have to stop using their diesel and petrol cars and buy a nice green energy electric vehicle. Electric sales of cars in this country aren't really that good an idea for one fundamental reason. And hear us when we say this, because we need to say it loud. We have no electricity.
But here's the one thing corporate South Africa doesn't actually understand. Poor people don't care whatsoever about the environment. Poor people want a job. They want to get to that job as cheaply and efficiently as possible, whether it be by donkey cart, minibus taxi, or car. And what corporate SA wants is to make sure that poor people never actually self-actualize. This is an anti-human agenda pushed through by billionaires who want to ensure that their wealth is ring-fenced.
Now, what will happen is they will get rid of the combustion engine, which is ultimately what they want to do, and they will subsidize the new green cars, the electric vehicles. The problem with electric vehicles, Ramon, is that it needs a real hard ton of lithium batteries to run them. Also needs a steady supply of electricity. Two things that we don't have a lot of. The problem also becomes in that the cost of the batteries are so astronomical that where the battery is damaged, the ability to easily repair the car is non-existent, which basically means every time you damage your car, you basically have to write it off and buy a new one, mate.
And on top of all of this report was written by the National Business Initiative. And the National Business Initiative is, of course, one of these NGOs we've never heard of, which is funded by essentially the Boston Consulting Group, which is one of those American McKinsey groups that basically screw up the world wherever they have their hairy tentacles. But what is interesting about the National Business Initiative is that they are funded by all sorts of local corporations. Discovery, Toyota, Engen, Unilever, Vodacom. All these corporates are the ones who fund the reports into decarbonizing South Africa. The dirty little secret, of course, is that carbonizing South Africa is what creates the economy, not just of South Africa, but of the world. The Western world was built on carbonizing. Now that people have made their money, they want to decarbonize it so there's no competition to them.
And the grand irony is that this is all being done for the purpose of the green agenda, saving the environment. But as we mentioned, when these cars are damaged, they're generally written off, which means we will actually have more car byproducts from written off cars, more scrap cars than ever before. But it's okay, Ramon, because just like an iPhone, once you break the screen, just buy a new one, my friend. Just buy a new one.
Where does cobalt actually come from?
Starving children in Africa, of which I am assured there's tons.
That is absolutely certain. But if you read this particular book, it will show you that cobalt mining in Africa, especially in Congo, is unlicensed, unregulated, lots of slave labor, lots of child labor, and these people are earning less than $1 a day. But don't worry, you sipping your Starbucks latte in Santon with your Tesla EV, you can be sure that you are saving the environment by literally stamping on the head of poor Congolese children who are mining it for you with wooden spoons.
Yes, Ramon, but you're missing a fundamental point. At least Greta's getting her childhood back. I mean, Greta wouldn't want to have her life ruined while starving children in Africa are digging up cobalt for lithium batteries.
But to top it all off, Byron, as we said in yesterday's video, load shedding is being solved because they are using good quality coal and they're fixing coal power stations. What do corporate SA want to do? Destroy all of that. Make sure that load shedding is here to stay, and most importantly, ensure that their bottom line will always be positive while your bottom line and your quality of life declines even further. You will own nothing and be happy, and this is exactly what net zero is, and this is exactly what corporate SA wants for South Africa.
A cynical person may look at all of this and ask one fundamental question, and that is, they've recently said that they found large quantities of potential oil in Africa, and we also know there's a large amount of gas in Africa. So a skeptical person may ask, is the Western forces really just intent on making Africa poor, and poor forever? Because as Africa joins the rest of the world and is able to embrace their technologies that made them rich, such as coal and oil, they're told, no, you can't do that. You can't do what we did to become rich. You must do this new stuff like solar panels and green agendas and lithium batteries. They always push the bar one step further, whilst impoverishing an entire continent of people.
And you know who's not doing that to Africa, Byron? Russia and China. China is funding coal. Russia wants to give nuclear reactors. So why the fuck are we talking about net zero when Russia and China can actually make us a proper economy? What is the point of siding with the West on these things? I have no idea.